See. All right, good afternoon or evening or whenever you are watching this. Welcome to TnT Sports. I'm Tye, and this is my co-host.
Thomas Giannis.
That's my man's over there. And so, hey, we're actually doing a ad hoc video because of what happened this weekend, and we didn't want to wait, and we needed to get this out now.
Yep.
So, this is the divisional recap, but before we get into it, a couple things I want to do is one, I want to thank everyone that has viewed this so far and provided feedback. It's been great. Um, it's been really fulfilling for me and Thomas, and we're really happy that people have enjoyed it. A
Yep.
couple things to mention. Please subscribe to the videos so that when we post a new one, you can get an alert. And we're going to try to shoot one of these every week, at least once a week. This week, you're going to get a bonus one, and this is the bonus one because we got a lot to say. Please provide comments of what you watched on any feedback, and also put any topics that you want us to discuss because
Yep.
we're open. We pretty much can talk about anything. It seems to be football heavy, but we definitely got a lot on basketball that we are holding off, but we had to hold off for one more week.
Right.
So, all right, we're gonna get right into it. Let's just go over the NFL divisional playoffs this weekend really quick and recap. And we're gonna start with the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs won 27-17. Um, Patrick Mahomes got hurt, but he was still able to produce and win like most of us thought they would do. Um, but Thomas, you got any feedback on this game?
No, but I'll add the thanks for all the feedback and the comments and excited to do it. So look, I'll add it as we talked about last week. We didn't really talk about that due to Andy Reid's record, right? So Andy Reid's record is now 25-3, right? 7-1 in a bye in the playoffs. So the game stat wise and scoreboard wise looked close, but let's be honest. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't get hurt, the game would be over. Jacksonville scored on a punt return by Agnew, brought it down. Great pass to Christian Kirk, right? So we'll give him that. But after that, if you look at the drives, either ended when it mattered, it either ended in a punt or a turnover. Patrick Mahomes get hurt, but and Jacksonville didn't take advantage of it. Patrick Mahomes was hurt, and they had a chance to seize an opportunity.
Mhm.
But they're the Jags. We forgot who they were, right? Like I said, nothing against the Jags.
No,
They shouldn't have been there. They play, as I said, they were playing with house money.
facts.
And so when I saw and I watched the drive, I was like, okay, the Jaguars got a chance. They're at the 3 yard line, or I'm sorry, the 4 yard line. It's like, okay, Chad Henne hasn't played a game in what they say? He hasn't played a playoff game in what, 8 years or whatever the stat they were talking about?
Hmm.
Or didn't appear in the game or whatever the stat was. Maybe I misinterpreted it. And then he went down there like he was Patrick Mahomes. No offense to Patrick Mahomes. He drove down there and when you have a guy like Travis Kelsey, who
Yeah.
else, right?
Yes.
I commend Patrick Mahomes for coming in injured, risking it, hobbling over there. That to me, as a Jacksonville fan, I would actually be upset about that because he was hobbling around and
Right.
he was actually, handing out the ball, moving around and passing the
Yeah.
play. It's a Chiefs, and the Chiefs got again. I like the Chiefs, but they seem to always get lucky somehow in the playoffs. I don't know why if they play somebody else,
Yeah.
if they play the Bengals, I know even the Bills. We'll talk about the Bills. The Bills played awful yesterday, but even if they play the Bills or they play the Bengals in that situation,
Yeah. It'd have been a
are
little
they
bit different.
exiting? But that's just my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, this is gonna sound really harsh to anyone that is an AFC South fan, but AFC South almost needs to be on timeout when it comes to playoffs. Let's
Right.
start to think about it. The Titans, when they were the number one seed, get beaten. The Houston Texans, when they're decent, they can't win a divisional round. Has it the
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 Colts
Colts? I
with
mean,
Philip
they're right.
Rivers,
Yeah, Philip
right?
right. The Jaguar, like it's it's kind of questionable in that division. So they get in the playoffs, they get a automatic bid because they're a division winner, and then they make a quick exit usually. And
Kind of like that.
also one more thing. How does anyone watching the game? Do they not watch football? Do they not realize that Travis Kelsey plays football for the Kansas City Chiefs? How are you gonna have him have 14 catches?
Right.
14 catches? Just put two
Well,
guys on him. But nope, Jacksonville decides we're gonna play it, just put a linebacker on him because we're good enough. No, you're not. Okay.
right.
You're already one of the worst teams in the NFL at stopping the tight end.
Right.
Just realize that. Just put two guys on him. Well, they didn't do that, and again,
Mm.
that's why they're not there.
Well, let me ask him about Travis Kelsey. I mean, Travis Kelsey, they changed the game plan. He stuck in the block because they're trying to block Henny, and he leaked out. But if you actually watch, and I tell all our fans out there, watch the touchdown pass that he had. He pretended to block, and he made a move on a linebacker, and safety got lost in the play and was wide because it was like, why is he so wide open? The guy is a crisp route runner. I mean, it's can,
Mm,
imagine even the Cowboys, the Bills having Travis Kelsey. My goodness.
oof, it would be a
So,
game
but
over.
you're right about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we did give Jacksonville and Kansas City love. Kansas City's on to the next round. Then the night game occurred. So I was actually at a friend's birthday party, and it was
Well,
in
you
the
didn't miss
background.
much.
Yeah, and all I know is I kept looking up. Oh, touchdown! Look up. Oh, touchdown!
Right.
Man, Philadelphia 38, the Giants 7. That was pretty bad. So I had a couple people that watched this video saying, "Hey, Giants have a shot." And I remember I said this in there. I thought the Giants would be able to compete because we were familiar. Well, the
Right.
Giants forgot to show up.
Right.
And you Giants fans, I feel bad for you, man. That was just embarrassing. Like, I don't mind losing because clearly the Giants shouldn't have been, are not as good as Philadelphia, but the way they competed, that was pretty terrible. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but I don't
Well,
know. Go ahead.
I want to say, well, the problem with the Giants were we talked about last week, stopping the run,
Yep.
238 yards. I mean, Kenneth Goodwin, what's his name?
Gainwell, Kenneth
Gainwell,
Gainwell.
sorry,
Yes.
Kenneth Gainwell. Look, he was 100. He had the best rushing yards, a touchdown. Scott or Brian Scott
Hmm.
had a touchdown.
Hmm.
That's what happens when
Yeah.
you run the ball and you got a quarterback that you don't have to throw the ball, and AJ Brown didn't do anything. Devontae Smith did. That's
Hmm.
what happened. And people forget again. I think you talked about this last week. The Eagles pass rush has all these sacks. Why were people surprised that Hassan right already was in there getting
Yeah.
sacks or everything like that? I mean, that's just the game they played, right?
Yeah.
And the Eagles probably were licking their chops. They're like, really? The Giants have a shot. No offense, Giant fan.
Yeah.
Like really, the Giants have a shot.
Yeah.
But kudos again. The Giants and the Jaguars. They're supposed to be rebuild in a sort of way.
Yep.
Made it playoffs.
Yep.
Now the Giants. To add a caveat to this, is Daniel Jones your answer? I like him, but depend
Mm,
how much money. So now you have a question of get him
mm.
some tools, right? So get him
Yep.
some wide receivers, and so we'll go from there. But they couldn't stop the run,
No.
and they look. The Eagles look like the Eagles look really good. That's
Yeah.
gonna be an interesting game next week. But yeah,
It is, yeah. I think, like I said, it comes to matchups. You're terrible at stopping the run, and they're one of the best teams in the league at running. So,
right,
sometimes, like we'll get into the other games later. Sometimes teams do step up, and sometimes they are who they are,
right,
and sometimes they're both, right? And so the Giants
right,
didn't step up, and that was discouraging. All
right.
right, so we're gonna get to Sunday, which was a very rough day for the TnT sports family here. We'll start off with the game in Orchard Park, where I had a couple of people I knew that went to the game. It's definitely cold. It's a lot colder when your team is performing the way the Buffalo Bills performed, in which
Right,
they lost 27-10 to Cincinnati. And
right.
I'm gonna definitely turn over to Thomas because this is where I need him to spell this. But the one
Yeah.
thing I will say is last week I talked about the Bengals and how I thought they were, overrated or overhyped, and that they were gonna have to score points. Well, they did. I
Hmm.
mean, they didn't score 30, like I said, but they scored 27, and really it was 30 because that touchdown to Chase. I mean, that was pretty much a touchdown. I don't
Yeah.
understand that call. But so they put up points.
Yeah.
It was just the other side, and that was painful. So, hey, Thomas, this is your time
Yeah.
to vent.
Yeah, so I had a long time, did a lot of research. I think I was up till 2 a.m., just even longer than that, just recapping the game, rewatching it, looking at some highlights, different things like that. Just trying to understand what happened, right? I
Hmm.
still was in disbelief later on. So I have my Bills gear on. Still a
Yeah.
Bills fan. This is what I was going to wear next week when the AFC Championship game is going to happen. So I had some mixed emotions. So I'm going to start it off. I want to start in a kind of a different approach. I want to talk about because we like to give you guys data and
Yeah.
different things like this. So I'm going to break down some stat points and then I want to talk about what my real true feelings are. Number one, when I saw the injury report come out inactive and I saw Dequan Jones was out, first game, by the way, he's been out all year. One of the best, actually, Pro Football has like top, I think number 5 or 7, whatever number, I forgot which one it is,
Mm.
at defensive stops. Now we call them the big uglies, right? They call it the guys that don't get any love. The stats don't really show up. They get double teamed. They don't really get sacks, even
Hmm.
though he had his most sacks, 2.5 sacks this year, more
What
than he had at
what position does he play? Just in case
D
people don't know.
tackle. I'm sorry,
Okay.
D tackle,
Okay.
Daquan Jones, D tackle.
Okay. Gotcha.
So with the Bills, the way the Bills work, and I want to talk about the running game. So the Bengals couldn't run, and the Bills have a top 8 run defense. Now that's a skew stat because the way the
Hmm.
Bills play in the beginning is they blow teams out, so you
Yep.
got to stop the run.
Yep.
So a lot of times people always say, "Well, they got a top 10 run defense or top 5 run defense, whenever they had it." That's a very skew stat. If you
Yep.
actually look at the numbers, when teams actually want to run on the Bills, they run. The
All
Miami
day.
game, all day, all Miami game, everything. And then you take their best defender, Jordan Phillips is finally playing hard, right? So when I saw that was happen, here's a stat that was astonishing, and I'm glad it came out because I do not believe it. Joe Mixon had 2.9 yards a carry before contact, which means he doesn't have one person touching him. The offense averaged 5.8 yards a carry rushing before garbage time. When the garbage time came in, they averaged 5.2.
Hmm.
When you run the ball on first down, Ty,
Hmm.
and your second play is 2nd and 4,
Yeah. It's game over.
with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, I
Yeah.
mean, you don't need a time. It's game over. Here's Joe Mixon had his best game since Carolina game. He had 150 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Mm.
He actually had 85 yards without being contacted. Best game since December. This is our best game since 2019. I just want to get his stats out there.
Wow.
On the reverse side, the Bills had their worst run defense with a contact in the last 2 years, or year and a half. Guess what the last game was? Jonathan Taylor, the Colts.
Oh, I remember
You
that
already
game.
saw, you
That was
already
that
saw what
game.
happened.
Yeah, it was
Right.
like
Oh, yeah.
42 points or something they gave up, and it was yeah.
Right. So they couldn't stop the run.
Mm.
Right. So it was out of defense. Now, again, the Bills defense is built for a dome. They play
Right.
nickel, and so they're I'm gonna get into coaching in a second, but the run they couldn't stop the run. They had 3. I don't want to hear about the 3 offensive linemen and everything. You got manhandled in the trenches. But
Yes.
I wasn't surprised. They're bend don't break kind of team. Now
Hmm.
the flip side, I'm surprised about. Let's talk about the offense.
Mm.
This is a divisional game. Football. They script the first two drives,
Right.
3 and outs both drives. I didn't even know what plays were being called.
No, I have
They
no
played
idea.
a they played an air raid offense in the snow, Ty. In the
Yeah.
snow, they had 2 passes over 20 yards in the first 2 drives. In
Mm.
the snow, all receivers know this. I was actually watching a show. They were saying an ex GM was talking about why were the Bills throwing the ball deep. It's very hard for a wide receiver to catch the ball when it snows in his face, right?
Hmm.
So they didn't run the ball. They didn't even attempt to run.
Right.
This is the game. I saw the snow. I was like, who's coming out? Cam Josh. That's what I was, I thought he was
Yeah.
coming out today. I thought he
Yeah,
was
of
gonna run
course.
power, everything like that. So
Of course.
it's very disappointing. They got out coached. They got manhandled. I mean, that was bad. That was a really, really bad game. And so, as a Bills fan, we played oh, I should say we as a fan, but the Bills played because I'm not on the field, but the Bills played their worst game they played all season, and it happened in playoffs.
Yep.
And then my last point, because I talked about why they lost is because they were out coached and they
Yes.
couldn't stop the run or
Yep.
run the ball.
Yep.
That's very simple. X and O's in the snow. My last point was uh, all this talk. I get everyone talking about Sean McDermott being fired. Well, that's just crazy to me. Okay, so Sean McDermott is a good coach. I have some questions about his adjustments of games and everything
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
But this is what happens. The worst thing that ever happened to the Bills, and I said this, and I probably said it last week, I've said it for a while, Ty, was the Kansas City game
Mm-hmm.
in the Patriots game. When Josh Allen looked all world, and Gabe Davis, who I watched Gabe Davis all year last year and this year, he had one good game, or two good games, and
Mm-hmm.
one was against the Chiefs. And the Bills got a little arrogant, and they said, "Oh, we don't need to add any weapons on
Right.
offense. We're going to keep them." They lost Emmanuel Sanders, which might have been a bigger piece than we knew.
Yeah.
They lost Cole Beasley, right? James Carter got hurt, and Dawson Knox had 13 touchdowns last year. This year, he was until like week what 9, he started showing up a little bit.
Yeah.
So the Bills just got everybody got better. The Chiefs got better, and they're like, "We
Mm-hmm.
lost Tyreek." Well, they added 3 wide receivers,
Right.
right? All right, 3 wide receivers to the team, and they added a running back that they found in the 7th round, Pacheco. So they got better. Don't get me started with the Bengals. How they got 3 offensive linemen.
I
What
know.
did the Bills add? Jamison Crowder and Robert Saffold. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
I mean, I
I
mean,
know, right.
those
No, I
are the
know.
two. They're like, you know what? And they added James Cook in the draft.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yep.
you don't run him, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Or pass him, and then you make a mid-season trade for Naeem Hines. So
They don't even
it's
play
like
him that often.
the worst thing that happened. And it showed that yesterday. It
Yeah.
showed that the Bills. And my last one, I'll let it get to you because there's other. I want to talk about something after you talk. But the Bills, when it comes to personnel, by far have the worst personnel out of 14. I'm sorry, the 8 teams that made the divisional round.
Hmm.
Jacksonville has better personnel for offense. I'm just letting you know from an offense point of view,
Hmm.
offensive
Weapons.
line, wide
Yeah.
receivers, tight end, just personnel.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the AFC. My
I say
apologies.
AFC because yeah, we
Yeah,
say hold on, we know the
no, no,
Giants, so it's
Giants.
like the Giants. Yeah.
My
Oof.
apologies. For the
Yeah.
AFC, yeah, the Giants are the worst. For the
Yeah.
AFC, the 4 teams. That's what I meant originally. They
Mm.
have it. So what I'm concerned is that the AFC is the NBA West.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like it just if you don't got the right team,
Right.
and guess who the Rock, guess who the Bills remind me of my team, the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets
Yeah.
is D'Antoni, Sean McDermott,
It might
is
be.
James Harden, Josh Allen.
Oof.
I mean, they
Those
do
are
great. They do great in the regular season, everything, but they can't adjust in the playoffs or can't do anything.
yeah.
I mean, it just reminds me of
Mm.
like when the Rockets were in the West and they had all that firepower trade for Chris Paul and they couldn't get over the Golden State Chiefs, right? Right, and there's also they couldn't get over that, and
Mm.
so that's just where the hopefully we see some changes. But the NFL with your cap space
Yeah.
being when a quarterback gets paid, the cap space, Diggs getting paid, we'll see differently. But that's just
Yeah.
my take.
Hey, that's a good point. It hurts my heart because I like Harden, and I know I'm a few people that likes James Harden, but I do like him. I mean, for his other mess in Brooklyn, but I blame that on Brooklyn. We'll talk about
Right,
again
right.
basketball. That's another thing.
Right. I just
Um,
want to add that in.
no, but that's a great take. And D'Antoni, I don't like him. I'm a Knicks fan, so what he did with us wasn't very good. But yeah, I think it was really hard to see how much they got manhandled up front. Like that was the part that was just alarming. I'm like like I said, I wasn't necessarily surprised that they were getting beat a little bit up front, but it was just a mauling. And I watched the game again today. I was like, this is embarrassing. Like you have to. How could you show up like that? Like you should be embarrassed. I don't care if you lose, but you should be embarrassed at how you got completely manhandled. The offensive line was confused at any blitzes, that nickel blitz. Every
Oh
time that
yeah,
guy would do that, they're like, oh, I'm going to pass it off on the outside. Let the inside guy go and hit Josh Allen. Josh Allen got hit by far the most of any quarterback in this weekend, of any
right.
quarterback. That's including Daniel Jones, and he was out there running for his life. Josh Allen got hit more times than he did in the pocket. So I think when it comes to coaching, look, I mean, I've been arguing with people today a little bit about, Josh Allen needs to get better, but I also feel like you need to be able to help, coach for the player in their own mind, right? Like
Right,
Josh Allen wants to be a hero. He's got the arm for it. He's gonna go for the deep ball. Well, stop calling deep ball routes.
right,
I don't see San Francisco calling a bunch of deep ball routes.
right.
They
What?
know they know Brock Purdy's not going to throw the ball on the outside the numbers, right? We'll get to that. He's going to throw it on the inside. Well, then they don't run route. All their routes are in routes. They're
Right,
creative in routes, but
right.
they're all in routes. So I do not understand why um, they are continuously calling these plays so that Josh Allen could not be effective. But again, this is on him. He has to get better. Um,
Right.
but it is a team game. Run the ball, be physical, and that's how those teams are in the championship game. So very disappointed
Well,
about Buffalo. I was planning on going to the
yeah,
game in Atlanta and
right.
not going now. So
Yeah, we got to remember. You got to remember. You know how you slow a quarterback down when they're making mistakes? You run the ball.
yeah,
Good coaches, they used to do that with Brett Favre sometimes. Brett
yep,
Favre get a little crazy, like, okay, we're gonna do two running plays. You gotta calm down a little bit.
right.
But what that's what happens when you have arm arrogance. I always say it. He has the
Yeah,
arm arrogance,
yeah, he
Brett
does.
Favre,
Yep.
so
Yep. So that was
mhm.
a tough one. How you feel? You all right? You got some of your stuff out? Do you feel okay? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. I
uh,
feel good. Like I said, everyone says next year. But again,
you gotta see what they're gonna do in the off season
yeah,
because everybody's getting better and don't be
true.
arrogant, right? Like that's what it comes down
That's
to.
that's what my take was. The worst thing ever happened was the playoffs. They didn't add any.
Yeah.
Nothing was added except for James Crowder, Robert Saffold. That's who,
Hmm.
by the way, was rated. I think what was his guard? 72 out of 82 guards, and he was one of the best ones with Derrick Henry. So that leads me
Yeah.
into was it Derrick Henry made him good. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's a whole different discussion about
Right.
PFF
PFFF and how they do that rankings and stuff. Because
rankings.
we're like,
Yeah,
hey, we watched the film. Like, I'm not understanding this one, but
right.
I'm with you. All right. Well, last but not least, uh, Dallas San Fran. Uh, go ahead, man. Get take because
Oh,
I got a
you got a
lot.
lot to say.
I got a lot to get off my chest, so I'm just gonna take a couple. Woosah, woosah. Heard that helps. Heard that from Martin. You're on mute for some reason. I think you went on mute. Zoom.
Sorry, guys, just a little technical issues. That's technology for you. It can be a great thing or also it can be a stubborn thing. So I was just saying, I was watching the game. I really believe Dallas was going to win this game, even before that. So I look at it. I'm going to take it in a few ways, right? So the first step would be Dallas. The way they got to win the game was play good defense, run the ball. I mean, that's
Hmm.
just for me was because as much as I want to support Dak. Dak is a black quarterback. Not many of them. We want to support him, but he's a fourth round pick, and he was the reason why he was a fourth round pick because he's limited, right? So so when you make Dak throw the ball, the reason why he throws so many interceptions, that's why I told him he had to run the ball more and he got to play good defense because Dak doesn't have the arm strength to make it in those small holes, right? Or it can in some of his deep ball throws are a little short. He's limited in some things. When he's a game manager and he's able to like just really focus, like last week, those guys were wide open when he's passing it. I don't want to take anything away from Dak.
Right.
He played good. He saw that, but
Yeah.
he was playing against a better defense that was very tight. So they had to run the ball, and so they did. The defense did a phenomenal job, right? But there's two plays where running was supposed to help you, right?
Hmm.
And Tilly probably got hurt. So when they got that punt, so one of the key plays to me was when that punt was fumbled and he recovered it.
Right.
It was what, like 70-yard line, 8-yard line, or
Yeah, something like that. It was like
yeah,
that.
so
Yeah.
8-yard line. It was 1st and 10, and Z got -1 yards. So
Yep.
he didn't even get a yard on the play,
Yep.
right? And then they passed the ball a few times and kicked three, right?
Yep. Dak
Then
threw that terrible pass to Zeke, hit him in the arm. It popped up, almost was picked
true.
off.
Oh yeah, that one too. I mean, I was gonna let you talk about that. So and then the other time in the red zone would have been when Dak pressed threw the interception, which I'm still confused why he even threw that ball into that coverage. You're not Patrick Mahomes. You're not the guy that has arms. So it got popped up, and that was on him. I don't want to hear people talk about the wide receiver. That was on him.
Yeah.
But I read some comments. It wasn't right. That's 3 points. That's 3 points. So that's a turnaround of minimum 3 points. That's 10 points wins you the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We can go through the X's and O's talking about, but you just got to run the ball, and they had a good game plan. And so CeeDee Lamb showed up. I'll tell you right now, CeeDee Lamb showed up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Don't showed up. He got a touchdown, showed up, and then he forgot what football was at the end of the game. But other than that, and so Michael Gallup played decent, and everyone played well. But they didn't take opportunities of Brock's limitation. Now, this is why Brock was a 7th-round pick. I mean, no offense to him, he's good. Basically, when he has to make the throws, some of the throws, there should have been 2 picks. I mean, Diggs should have had a pick. I mean, that was right there. And there's another one that there should have been a pick. But when Brock, and so you saw what Shanahan did, it was like, okay, well, you're making some plays, so let's get it in. Christian McCaffrey couldn't really run, by the way. So they said, let me put Elijah Mitchell. That's what good coaches do. They started adjusting it because of personnel, and he started doing more passes for George Kittle. Where they were trying to get the ball to Debo, they just abandoned Debo. They're like, okay, Debo, you're not able to get the ball. Dallas is doing a great job of coverages, so we're just going to get it to Kittle, and then Elijah Mitchell is going to start running the ball because we need a running power behind Trent Williams and just run it that way. And so that's what happened. If Dallas would have scored some points, what I just talked about earlier, then he would have put the ball on Brock Purdy's hand. But the problem was they were leading, and they're like, let me just run the ball, and they ran it down their throat, and that became who he is, right? And I'll let you speak about it, but again, guys, Dak is 4th-round pick with limitations. There's a guy named Kirk Cousins. We didn't see last week. It's the same thing. They just have limitations that they can't overcome.
All right. No, I think you're right. All right. Whew. I'm trying now. This is like a therapy session for myself, man. So I told Thomas, I was like, look, man, I know we're gonna talk, Thursday, every week. I'm like, we gotta talk now. Because got a lot to say. All right. So I didn't really give people this is gonna be I won't be too long-winded, but it's gotta give history. So yes, I'm a Cowboys fan, but why am I a Cowboys fan? Well, my mom, right? So my mom, when I was born, my mom basically was born on a Saturday night, and Sunday morning the Cowboys were playing the Rams in 1979, and she was like, "Hey, I need the game in my room so I don't miss this game." I was literally born a Cowboys fan, and unfortunately, I've had a lot of years of pain. Okay, people are like, "Oh, you a fan because of the '90s?" And yes, I love that team. Hence, why I have this jersey on, because it's been way too dang long since we had a football team in Dallas. Okay, I'm getting sick. I just want to say this, Thomas. I'm getting sick of being a fan of a team that doesn't represent me. I never feel like they represent me, right? And so it's hard trying to root for these guys. Now I'm gonna give some reasons why I gave you that background. There's been lots of years of pain, right? We know Stephen A. Smith has highlighted all the things that happened. 2006, Tony Romo drops the fumble for the game-winning field goal. I had nightmares for 2 weeks about that. I could not sleep. Literally, I was jumping out of sleep. Did that really happen? I'm like, yeah, actually did really happen. Like, you really did lose on like a 19-yard field goal because that never happened. He got the drop catch, right? Which was a catch. You have the Aaron Rodgers roll right, throw over to the sideline through 3 people, catch the ball so they can kick a field goal when that was the number 1 seed. But that one is the reason why that's the one I wanted to pick out, because that was the best team. That was the best team that we've had basically since this year. And you know what the common denominator for both those teams were? Dak Prescott was our quarterback. And then he was a rookie. And I was telling everybody, this is why I love doing this. I can say stuff and people can hold me to it. I told everybody that year, we are not going to win with this boy at quarterback. They're like, what are you talking about? You're 13-3. You got to keep him. I was like, look, we're winning because we're running the ball. Zeke Elliott had the greatest year ever. We're getting like Thomas was talking, 5.6 yards a pop. And everybody's putting 8, 9 people in the box. So if I do a play action, it's literally a one-on-one drill. I got one receiver out there, just gonna throw him the ball. Like it's not even. I don't have to make any reads until you do. And that's what happened in the Green Bay game. They basically treated him like he was Brock Purdy. We were down 21-6. People were like, oh, he had a great game because they came back. Well, they should have been down. The Green Bay Packers were literally playing with wide receivers in the secondary that year. They were hurt. And we couldn't have this guy expose him. I said put Tony Romo in. It didn't happen. That was my year to win. Now, every year, I got to hear about Dak Prescott and how this guy is the future. We had an opportunity. We had to pay him. Everyone's like, you got to pay this man, just because this other guy paid him. I'm like, I don't care about this other guy. And I don't dislike Dak. I think he's a great guy and he's a good leader, but I don't want a great guy and a good leader. If I'm going to pay you 40 million Patrick Mahomes money, I need you to be Patrick Mahomes. I don't need you to be Kirk Cousins. I don't need you to be Ryan Tannehill because I can pay you Ryan Tannehill $20 million a year, not 40. And then I can actually build a team around him because that's what he needs. He needs an amazing offensive line, an amazing running game, and amazing wide receivers so that he can be average and still be able to produce because he is average. And I got some numbers about this game. And that's why when we were talked about last week, I was like, I don't see us winning this game, not because I didn't think we're talented enough, but I knew the one way that we were going to have to beat them is the one thing that we'll never be able to fix until we get a new quarterback. Dallas, they're 22nd versus the run, their defense, 8th against the pass, which is why Thomas was saying we need to be able to stop the run and make Brock Purdy pass the ball. Well, you know what? For most of the game, we were stopping the run.
Christian McCaffrey got three yards carry.
I was impressed. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. These boys stepped up. I was like, they got 5 days to figure out how to stop the run. You know what? They did.
Right.
They did their part. San Francisco's defense, on the other hand, first versus the run, 20th against the pass. Oh, 20th against the pass. So, like I said, I saw holes. We have to be able to exploit those holes. That will require our $40 million quarterback not having to be amazing, just not being trash. Well, he decided to be trash. So the only way we were going to beat them was to expose their pass defense. And for some parts we did, but again, not as much as we should have. And so I say all of this to say that we're stuck. Like we are stumped now as a Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what to do. If it was me, and this sounds crazy, I figure out a way to trade the guy, but it's not going to happen. Or he's going to have to take a pay cut so that we can get people around him because he says all the right things. Yeah, I got to be better. I got to be better. No. Your time to be better was during the game, not this offseason. And like Thomas said, he's 4th-round pick. He's limited. And it's not talking bad about him. He just literally can't make certain plays. Right. And you know what? I want you to hold that thought, Thomas. You might have a couple things to say because I got something to show you guys. Right. So I'll be right back. You there, Thomas?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got something to show you guys really quick. Let's see if I could get over here. All right. See me? All right. Yeah. Can you see the screen over here, T?
Yeah, we can see it.
It's a little blurry.
Yeah, you can see it. I mean, the good news is that it's white and red, right? The player.
Yep. So all right. So there's a million plays that I could talk about. But I want to show you guys the most basic play. Forget the deep ball that he missed to Gallup, which is embarrassing. Forget the interceptions. This wasn't even an interception. This is stuff you teach, 10-year-olds about football, right? This was 4th quarter, 2 minutes, 59 seconds, first down. Okay, this is the drive before the last drive. You see, you got CeeDee Lamb here at the top, and you got San Francisco, they're playing, if you look, they're actually playing a cover 3 defense, okay? So anyone doesn't understand what cover 3 is, basically you got a deep safety, you can kind of see him over there. You got a corner and you got another corner. They're just going to run verticals. They're going to play vertical, right? They're playing their lanes. What that means is they don't want anything to go deep. They're not going to play the sideline, right? You got this guy here. He's in the cover 3. He's playing whatever slot position is over here, right? That's what his job is. Same with this person on this end.
Lower, there you go. Okay.
Yep. So why I'm going to show you this is on this route, they're going to give you the out. It is what they want you to take because they don't want you to take the ball down, the ball deep, right? So Lamb is going to run an out. What you're going to see here is what Dak's decision is. On this play, Dak, I pause it right here. Dak decides to throw. He has Dalton Schultz here. Look, there's a guy, Greenlaw, who I said is playing the coverage. Look where he's standing. Look where CeeDee Lamb is. Do you see anyone around CeeDee Lamb? That is an easy pitch and catch. He's literally looking in that direction. So it's not like it's a play where you're like, you know what? He couldn't see it. Yes, he could. He's literally looking there. He decides, I'm going to throw it to this guy. What happens? Oh, it should have been interception. But that's not even the worst part. Pick six. That's not the worst part. The worst part is this guy. CeeDee Lamb looking at there like, yo, bro, his hands is out. He's like, yo, man, go, just pass me the ball, dog. When your receiver is now telling you, your quarterback, to pass him the ball because you can't make a basic play, we are in trouble. You are not going to win. It doesn't matter what you do. When a guy can't make a basic play, and then he says, my bad, and he's going to do it next year, I can't take anymore. That's why I'm done. I'm done, at least for a little bit. Now, we'll talk about what you need to do in offseason, but I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed for all Cowboys fans and all those guys that played hard this week to have this one man can't make basic plays, and we paying him $40 million. All right. Sorry, Thomas. That's what I had to say.
I'm looking at – so Dak has 2 more years in his contract. Well, actually, yeah, 2 more years, 2023 and 2024. I mean, do you draft somebody? So it's funny because Josh Allen does the same thing sometimes, but the thing is, his arm can make it up. The problem is that Dak
cannot.
And that's the problem with being people like Dak and Kirk Cousins. What makes it even worse about that game, because there was a few that Michael Gallup throw was. I mean, I wish he showed that one, but
yeah,
there's no weather affecting it, which is that's just the most wild part of it.
And the funny thing, by the way, Thomas, about that Michael Gallup throw, it actually is the next play.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's the next play. Oh. He misses Michael Gallup. Literally the next play.
Because that right there, you could talk about all the game because you know football.
Yeah.
So those mistakes are people forgive you those mistakes. When you make mistakes early, you're like miss this throw, miss this touchdown, miss the opportunity. You make points up at the end. Like Josh Allen, I'm a Bills fan. Sometimes at the end, you're like, okay, we forgot about the 2 interceptions, forgot everything else because you won the game. You win the game, but that's the problem. But man, do you draft somebody? This draft is very interesting. We'll have a section talking about draft. There's 2 quarterbacks that I like. They're maybe 2nd, 3rd round picks. Who knows? Do you sit them and develop them? I mean, that's. But Jerry likes Zach, man. Jerry likes Zach.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I like Dak. Is he better than Cooper Rush? Yes, but he's not better than him if you compare the money, because that's what it's about. It's not my money, but you are paying the man a lot of money. So, it's unfortunate, but I had to get that off my chest. I miss the days of Hart. I miss the days of my boys, right? And I'm not living in the past. I've moved past it, even though that is beautiful here, It is nice.
They won 2 Super Bowls against my Bills. I know.
Yes, I know. So, I mean, it is nice to see the boys. But I don't need them to be that way. I need them to live up to the potential that they can have. And it's always something wrong. We have the right defense when our offense isn't good. Or we have the right offense when our defense isn't good. Oh, we have a good running back, but then our line is not that great. Oh, we have a good secondary, but we don't have a good defensive line. They never can figure out how to put all the pieces together. And now that we got a person that we paid 40 mil, and then Zeke, which I don't even want to get into, that guy looked lost. I mean, on the
couldn't
play
get
that you
1
talked
yard.
about, we lost a -1 yards. He would have had a touchdown. And it wasn't even like he had to be special to get a touchdown. He just had to run outside, which would have required a little speed. And he knew he's not fast. So he decided to just run into an offensive lineman
Yeah.
when the play was designed to kick outside when there was nobody outside. So, anyways,
Yeah.
that's it. We'll talk about the preview of the AFC and NFC championship game at a later date. Congratulations to those teams. It will be very interesting. I mean, well deserved. Again, I'm not mad at San Francisco. They're a good team. They did what they were supposed to do. They took advantage of, a bad quarterback. But that won't hurt. That hurts a little bit more than getting beaten. We had that game won, and it was one guy that kind of
Yeah.
didn't live up to who he was
At,
supposed to.
at least you could just see. At least you got excited to watch the 4th quarter. The Bills game was done after the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, at
That's
least
true.
you got excited. But
Yeah.
more to come. I can't wait for the Chiefs Bengals talk.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the media is woof. We'll talk more.
for
I heard
sure.
a very interesting line in the media about Joe Burrow, so it's interesting.
Yeah, very
You
interesting.
know?
He's the greatest
Yeah.
quarterback of all time now because he had 175 yards rushing with
Right, right.
Joe Mixon. That's all right. Hey, he's a
Take it.
winner. He's a
Hey,
winner. He's a winner.
Tom
I'm
Brady
not
got the
saying.
same love.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah, he's a
so
winner. I mean, you got to beat the guy, so beat
yeah.
him. So I agree. All right, T. Well, thanks for this week. It won't be cutting off quick on you anymore, you guys. So we think we worked through some of our advantages. But again, I want you to please subscribe to the videos that we're gonna post. Let us know what you think, and please provide any comments. And we appreciate you for tuning in to TnT Sports.
All right, appreciate it, guys. See you
All
later
right,
this week.
all right. Thanks.
Take care.
Later.